Deceased wrestling great. That's so good. I would really like to do one of these in a year where I have perfected my Andre the Giant impersonation.
Dude,
If I could do that, Eric, I want to get to the top of the mountain.
I'm surprised you didn't start with that one. I mean, we'd have to let people know who that is, but
Oh, Hogan, I'll carry you at the SummerSlam.
dude, that's oh my gosh.
I could do a few of those.
Next year, we should consider doing that in a couple of months if your Andre the Giant is already that good. Holy cow.
I'll keep working on it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was hard to understand for sure.
I'll work on reading a question in that form.
Okay.
What are some good yeah, I don't know. See, I gotta work through that. Camping rules. Ugh.
Welcome to the Greens and Blues 14er podcast. This episode, Zach and I answer questions from, among others, a cult hero, a deceased wrestling great, and a basketball legend. Good afternoon, Dr. Simpson. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you today, Eric?
I'm doing well.
How are things in sunny Castle Rock, Colorado today?
Things are sunny. We've had a lot of sunny days recently, including one just a few days ago where I was able to tackle a couple of 13ers in early November, which I don't think I've ever done before. So, Boreas and Bald Mountain in the Front Range, that was a little more adventurous than I was expecting with some of the snow I encountered and all the wind. But again, to be expected in November, I wasn't quite ready for it. So,
Little shoulder season hiking.
it's
That's great.
I'm hoping to get a little shoulder season in.
I am so envious of you. Um, I wish I could be doing that right now. Meanwhile, I'm in month 2 of my allergies just decimating my
Oh my
immune system.
gosh.
And about once a year, I need to do kind of a hard reset on my immune system where I don't exercise. I just sleep for a week. And
Yeah.
living in Oklahoma is trying for the old T cells. They're working overtime here. So
Oh
I'm
man, that's
jealous of
awful.
you living in drier, higher climate.
Well, don't be jealous of my knees because they got and my feet got pretty banged up. So yeah, sorry to hear your allergies are still giving you a problem here.
They'll subside, probably around the time spring rolls around. So
That's a long time to wait.
I just wait for a hard freeze. All of us do. We're
Gosh.
just like, come on, freeze.
Oh man.
So
Well, other than allergies, how are you doing?
I am doing well. I mean, is there anything else other than allergies? They are all consuming. Yeah, life is good. Ran a 5K with my daughter last week.
That's
We
right.
so we showed up to run a real 5K, like we paid an entrance fee and everything, and we show up and it's just raining buckets. And we were like, God, and we were ready for it.
Yeah.
We were kind of pumped to run. So we bailed. We went to Waffle House, had a nice breakfast, and then went home, rested up, and then about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, there was like a clear window. I looked at my daughter and I said, you want to do this? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. So I mapped out a course that made a 5K perfectly on my little mapping app, and we ran a 5K in the neighborhood. So
That's
um,
awesome.
it was great. It was a ton of fun. Love doing it. Love running with my kid. But other than that, trying to not get sick.
Well, so will you have the chance to redo like the sanctioned race? Are they going to just reschedule it or is that just out now?
It's a rain, sleet, or shine policy. Like there were people that were about to like it was coming down in just sheets, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's a course that takes you kind of through some ravines and stuff, and it's like, no, we're not doing this.
Oh, wow.
But I think they still did it. But we were able to transfer our registration to a race in the spring, so we'll just do a spring
Okay.
race.
Okay, cool.
We want to kind of do one every 6 months together, and it'll be a way to keep dad in check and keep me from getting a little chunky around the waist, keep me in shape for hiking. So,
Oh gosh.
um, What are we doing today, Eric, on the Greens and Blues podcast?
We're going to do a first. We've never done an episode where we just take questions and we just give our answers to them. So we'll try and have some fun with this one, I think.
Maybe a first, it may also be a last. We'll see. We'll see how this
There's
goes.
only one way to find
I
out.
love the idea of a Q and A. I
Yeah,
love doing that. We're going to just have some fun today, I think.
for sure.
We've got some questions that I think should elicit a good discussion. We actually did receive a couple good questions. Eric, I guess we should play our first one. We've got some voicemails here. People have left us on the Greens and Blues thought line. If you want to give it a go on this first one, we can see what this particular caller has to say.
Hey guys, this is Napoleon from Preston, Idaho. I want to come visit Colorado next summer, but I don't know which 14er should be my first one. What do you guys think I should do? I want to make sure Uncle Rico's not there. Thanks, guys. Okay, bye.
Is that one of the legitimate ones? I don't.
Well, Napoleon from Idaho. This may be touching on a future question, but you may want to bring Uncle Rico along because I hear he can throw a football over the mountains. Word on the street is.
Yeah,
Well, it sounds like a legitimate question at the heart of that, and it's a question that gets asked a lot.
you see it a lot.
Yeah, we see it a lot. There's a reason we're listening to this particular voicemail here. If any of you are lurking on the Colorado 14ers Facebook page or any other social media site that has 14ers content, this question is the most frequently asked question,
Yep.
which is, what should be my first 14er to hike? Eric, what say you?
And there's a number of options. I think one of the first episodes we ever did, Zach, we talked about which 14ers we thought were the easiest ones, and we came up with a consensus of our top five there. There's a number of ways we could go on this one. I would say I might put Bierstadt near the top of the ones I would start with for a number of reasons. First off, the trailhead, if you're going to do the standard route, the trailhead, you can get there on tricycle if you wanted to. It's easy to get to. Just take Guanella Pass, and eventually you'll get to where Bierstadt and Blue Sky are on the east side of the road, and you'll pretty clearly see the way to go. If you're going to go in the summer, you'll have people with you. If you're concerned about losing the route, you'll just follow the conga line that's going up there. You start above tree line, there might be some benefits in terms of being able to just see where you're going. And I think the route's overall maybe 7 miles, give or take. It's not as intensive as a lot of other 14ers are going to be. I think there's a lot to say for Bierstadt in terms of being an introduction for someone to wanting to get into 14ers. So I might go in that direction. What do you think, Zach?
I'm going to do the old professor trick. I'm going to totally agree with you, and then I'm going to give another one that's completely different,
Please do.
and maybe even opposite. I think Bierstadt's a great choice. It doesn't have a road going to the top like Blue Sky does.
Mm.
It avoids the parking difficulties of Quandary, which a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people like to pick.
Yep.
It doesn't have the just rampant mining activity of Sherman. There is actually something like a feel of like a mountain to a degree there, which I really like, but it's just as easy as those other ones, maybe even a tad easier than a couple of them. So I think Bierstadt's a great pick. I'm going to go in a completely different direction, completely different part of the state. I think Handy's via the American Basin route, but this has two asterisks next to it. One is that you're willing to drive that far, and two, that your car can make it to the American Basin parking lot slash trailhead. If you can't, I don't think it's a good first 14er. The Grizzly Gulch route is not a good first 14er route. The American Basin one is. It's a little steep, but if you go in mid-July to late August, early September, it's one of the most photographed places in Colorado.
Yep.
It is abundant with wildflowers. If you're able to get there, that's a sensational hike. It's the same difficulty as the Bierstadt hike. You will not have quite the crowds. You'll still, on a weekend, you'll still have some crowds. It's a little steep, but it never deviates from a class one hike. I would totally recommend that if people could do it. That was my dad's first 14er.
That's true.
I think that'd be a good pick, given those two caveats. If you're willing to go to the San Juans and if you've got a slightly better version of a Subaru Outback that's able to get up that road a little ways, that's a great, great mountain with sensational views. If you don't like handies and the view from the top of that, you're just not going to like this whole like gig, right? Like this is not for you.
Maybe rethink this whole 14er
Yeah.
thing if that's
Yeah, you may just want to rethink the whole thing. Maybe this isn't your thing, you know? And that's totally fine because that's a gorgeous, gorgeous summit in a
Mm.
gorgeous area. I'd say Handy's from American Basin as like a 1B right behind Bierstadt as a 1A. So Napoleon, that's my sincere recommendation. If you're driving down from Idaho, maybe that's where you want to head.
I love it, Zach. And yeah, Napoleon, I can't really tell from your voicemail. You don't exactly sound like the type that would be motivated to hike a 14er or to get acclimated ahead of time to do a 14er, but yeah, you might want to start training like right now for next summer. But
Maybe by practicing a lot of dance moves.
a lot of dance moves, a lot of tetherball I've heard might be helpful too.
Yeah.
Or if you want to catch a delicious bass for someone special, that might
Yeah.
be
Fishing
yeah, fishing.
or bike riding,
Yeah,
cycling
it's true. Yeah.
is good.
Find some sweet jumps. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could, Napoleon, you got a lot of options, it sounds like.
Yeah. So in all seriousness, I think Bierstadt, Handies. I mean, the other ones that everybody goes to, we kind of listed off Quandary, Blue
Hmm.
Sky, Sherman.
Sherman. Yep.
Those are all good. I mean, there's a handful of other ones that are fine too. Huron, Elbert.
Hmm.
Those are all perfectly good. First 14er options if you're a little bit more fit than the average bear. But I'd say those first two are probably the good ones.
Love it.
All right, we've got another voicemail here, Eric,
Do.
from a longtime listener, first time caller.
Hi, this is Debbie. Love the podcast. I was wondering if you have any advice for hiking with children. Thanks for the fun episodes. Bye!
Well, thank you, Debbie, for your call. That's great. I hope you're not to be confused with Napoleon's friend Deb. Um,
Two very different people, I'm gonna guess.
yes, for sure. Well, Debbie, that's a great question. Hiking with
It
children.
is.
We've both done this.
Mm-hmm.
You've done it a bit more than I have, Eric. So, how about you start off? Do you have any special advice for hiking with kids?
It's a great question, and I think a lot of it probably is going to involve the age and motivation of the kids that you're going with. So you're right. I've hiked with my oldest the most. I've hiked several 13ers and 14ers with him. Hiked with my youngest a little bit. Having a good understanding of what you think their limits are going to be is really important. There's been times where I've overestimated that, and I've had to carry my youngest son down a 13er because he just didn't have the juice to get all the way. And so I didn't exactly play that card the way I should have. That's probably the big key is understanding where you think their limits are and also being ready to take on more than you normally would have to if you're going solo or if you're going with an adult. Like I was ready to carry all of their gear if I had to, all of our food, water. That can be pretty trying just because that's a lot of weight. So, and then if you add on the weight of a 7-year-old kid on your back, giving them a piggyback ride, that also adds to it. So, would probably start there and just understanding where you think their expectations are and blow out your own expectations and having to do way more than you were thinking of going into it. But, Zach, what do you think are some of the keys of hiking with kids?
I think there's a few. I think you can hike with kids at all ages. You have to know your kid where they're ready to hike independently.
Hmm.
I carried my daughter in a kid carrier pack through the age of, I think, 5 or even maybe up to 6. But at that point, she got too heavy to carry that way. And so at that point, you're in that kind of donut hole between age 6 and about age 10 where you can go on hikes, but a peak is just not a thing you're going to be
It's
able to
going to be a
do.
lot.
There are parents that do it, more power to them, but I think probably 11, 10, 11, 12 is where they start to get of the age where they can really move on their own. But all along, I think you have to reckon with two fundamental facts with hiking with children. One is that your objective may not be their objective. That you may want to go to the top of a mountain, they may not see the purpose in going to the top of a mountain.
It's a good call.
They may not be inspired by checking something off a list or by that cool summit view you think it has. They may just want to go splash around in the creek or go until they don't want to go anymore and then turn around.
Hmm.
And I think reckoning with that is important. And that leads me to my second one, which is if you're hiking with a kid, it's not about you, it's about them, and it's about exposing them to the outdoors. It should be more about having fun and enjoying a day out together as a family than it is about whatever your goal may be that day. So
Yep.
you got to kind of drop the goal orientation and you just have to go with the flow. And for a lot of us that like to hike and hike hard, that's hard. And so you need to be really intentional. Like if I'm going to hike with my kid, I'm going to hike with my kid and I'm going to do it the way my kid wants to do it. Like you can push them and they don't get to call all the shots, of course, but I totally second Eric's idea. Always bring extra capacity for carrying their stuff because that may become a thing. Let's be honest, it will become a
Yeah.
thing. You need to carry an extra big lunch and you need to be willing to like hang out and take a while and stop and smell the roses quite a bit. You need to probably overgear it. They're going to be colder than you and they're going to be
Mhm.
hotter than you, so you need to be ready for all that. I think this one's from the moms. Always bring sunscreen. So,
Oh goodness, yeah.
especially if you're Eric's wife. Um, so, yeah, I would say those are the big kind of temperamental, attitudinal things that you need to bring to the table when you're hiking with kids. And then everything flows out of that. You pick an appropriate route. I always like going where, you can have an objective, but if you only make it a mile, you've still seen something cool.
Yeah, that's a great
Don't
idea.
don't pick a trail where the first mile sucks, um, or where you're going to be paying some dues right off the bat. Unless your kid's 13, 14, 15, and they've got some discipline and they're willing to hunker down, that's not cool. They're probably not going to have a lot of fun that way.
For sure. Those are all great calls. I love it.
And celebrate all their wins. If they make it to the
Oh, for
top of
sure.
something, man, you gotta make
Dude,
a big deal out of that.
over celebrate it for sure.
I like that idea. And if they're making it to the top, they're probably doing it for you.
Yeah.
And you may need to realize that that's their motivation is to make you happy.
Yeah.
And maybe not necessarily the things that we're doing it for, but just realize all along you're planting seeds.
Hmm.
Like everything being a parent, you're planting some seeds that hopefully they'll want to hike when they're older and they'll love these places like you do.
Yeah. I want to second that too. I mean, I know Ty loves getting out. My older son,
Yeah.
he asks, hey, can we go for a hike? And hey, Dad, you're going to do this. Is that something that you think I could handle? So that comes from having planted seeds years ago and taking them out and let's try to hike Blue Sky from Summit Lake and let's just give it a go. You're spot on. If you can plant those seeds, they may take hold and you may help someone that you brought into this world to appreciate the outdoors just like you do. So,
Yeah, totally. All right, Eric, we're getting warm here. I'm feeling good. Let's take this third call. Hi, this is Charles Barkley. I heard that you boys been calling me names. The round mound of rebound? Only my mother called me a round mound of rebound. You liken me to a mountain? I'm no mountain. I'm a, I'm a force of nature. I don't have a question. I just resent that.
I gotta break this down. So, first of all, if Charles Barkley were to listen, that would be wonderful.
I thought that was really Charles Barkley, Eric. Are you
Well, it
telling me
could be. It
that
could
wasn't
be.
Sir Charles?
That would be an honor if that was him. But so, and then he caught, I think it was me. I think I compared a
Geneva Peak, I
13.
believe,
Yeah, it was
to
Geneva or Sullivan, one of those to him. And then
yeah.
then he has to call in. He has no question. He just wants to call in to complain. Oh gosh.
Well, I am so sorry, Charles. Wow. First of
Oh
all, if you're
gosh.
listening to this, Charles, to be graced by your words. This is really great. I'm
That would be
sorry we said
awesome.
that. I'm sorry we used a name that only your mama would call you that. Yeah,
Uh,
a lot of regrets. There is a bald peak, a bald mountain in the Front
mm,
Range that actually I believe you just hiked, Eric, that we've both
yeah.
done before. Maybe Maybe that can be renamed Barkley Mountain, Barkley
Ooh.
Peak, something like that. Maybe we could get a USGS petition going for that.
I do think that they require a person to be deceased for a certain amount of time before they'll
Oh,
name a peak after them. Otherwise, I think we should keep it in the queue. And I don't want Sir Charles to pass, but maybe if we just keep it in the back of our minds that, you know what, this one's worthy of naming after a basketball player someday.
he's a national treasure. We should
Yes.
all reckon with that. Maybe he needs to be distinguished with a peak, or maybe there's an unnamed 13er out there. If listeners want to email us about an unnamed 13er that's Barkley like in its shapeliness. I mean, what's crazy about Barkley is that guy was 6'8". He led the league in rebounds for like half a
Yes.
dozen years and
Yes.
out rebounding like 7 foot tall guys.
Yeah.
It's just truly, Charles, a force of nature.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if anyone wants to tell us what they think should be renamed Barkley Peak, not, sorry, Round Mound of Rebound, Eric, that's just untoward.
That
I
was
can't,
mean.
I can't
Yeah.
believe you said that.
That was mean to say. Yeah, I should take that back. Charles, call in again and or email us. I'll respond with a sincere apology to you. You probably deserve it.
Wholeheartedly agree. I'm here for that apology, Eric. Actually, maybe we should just have a whole episode of your apologies.
Oh gosh, that we don't have enough time.
We're gonna line them up. Be like an AA meeting here when you've got to make amends.
Hi, my name's Eric, and I've made a lot of people mad in my
I've
time.
slandered some mountains in my day. Here's my list.
Oh gosh.
All right, well, let's move on from that to our fourth caller, who I think is a little more serious. I hope. I haven't listened to these yet. Oh, yeah. Greens and Blues podcast. Yeah. Feel it. Dig it. This is the Macho Man Randy Savage. I gotta know. Me and Miss Elizabeth, we like going on hikes. Yeah. And we've been wanting to go on a little hike up in the mountains. And I've been wondering, do you have any advice for hiking with a partner? Thanks for the podcast, boys. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Wow, we are getting a really distinguished cadre of guests for this episode.
This is like Celebrity Central here.
I mean, Randy's been dead for 20 years. Wow.
This is bordering on the supernatural now.
I am floored. I cannot believe the list of people that are listening to this and calling in, no less.
And calling in too. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, there's a serious question at the heart of that, but I'm just floored that the original one, the Macho King, would be calling in, asking us questions about hiking, no less. Can you imagine Randy Savage on top of a summit just talking to people? Like, what does that look like?
I thought he was from Florida. Like, I don't know what kind of mountains they have in Florida, but I'm impressed that he and Miss Elizabeth want to go for hikes. That's pretty cool.
You know, he's been snapping into some Slim Jims. Maybe he's ready to go. You go drop an elbow on
Yes.
Mount Bierstadt.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there is a serious question at the heart of Randy's call here. You know, Randy, hiking with a partner is not unlike hiking with a kid. I've always kind of thought of it as the least common denominator rule, which is when you're hiking with someone, you have to go with the preferences, intentions, ability set of the least among your party.
Yep.
So if it's you and Miss Elizabeth, who by all accounts, a fair lady, you're probably going to have to defer to her abilities quite a bit of the time on scrambles and so forth. I think there's two rules that I have when I hike with people. One is only in very, very rare circumstances should you leave someone behind.
For sure.
That is rule number one, and it's probably rule 1 through 10. You should not leave people behind unless they are highly experienced or one of you is in extreme distress and you need to go get help. If they're highly experienced and they're like, hey, I want to go check this thing out, you need to be within a 10-minute reach of each other where they go on and there's a set time where if they don't come back, you have a comeback time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is, yeah, you've got to basically attune yourself to what they can do. And if they can't do something, then it looks like you're both not doing something or you all aren't doing something. So that should go into your trip planning. Like, hey, what are their abilities and what can they do and not do? You got to kind of bend to that.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Zach, to the point where I actually have nothing to add. I think you summed it up perfectly. And the only thing I would say is I would second, especially the initial point that you made about not leaving your partner. I think I've been fortunate enough that I haven't been left and I haven't left anyone, but I've heard horror stories from friends that have just gotten ditched by whoever they're going with, and not necessarily because they were in trouble or because there was something cool to see, but just because their partner just didn't feel like being around anymore. So they just raced down the mountain and left their partner in the dust. And, that's just not only is it uncool, it actually is dangerous. If something happened to the person that got left behind, you might never know. So you nailed it as far as hiking with partners.
I used to do this with my wife where we would hike together. We'd get to a spot and she'd be like, I just want to sit here and have a snack. And she'd take out her journal or she'd draw. And I'd say, okay, I'm going to be back in 30 minutes. I'm going right there. You can see where I'm headed. I think that's an acceptable circumstance. We both can't be moving. Only one of us can be mobile if we're leaving the other behind. But even then, it was within a very limited window of time, usually within visual range, right? Like she could see me going up the hill. But that's the biggest one. And the other one's kind of like with kids. Like you've got to tether your expectations to their expectations. Like it may not be about you on that day, which makes picking a partner so important.
Oh, yeah.
You should have different kinds of partners. You should have the partner that pushes you. You should have the partner that's your exact match. I think that's kind of where you and I are at. Like we're
Yep.
basically the same level as one another. So if one of us is feeling tired, we push the other one a little bit, but we're never too far off with one another. If it's someone that, you're romantically involved with or whatever, this may not be their thing, you need to go in with a ton of understanding and kindness and a absolute willingness to turn around.
For
So,
sure.
hike with humility in those cases. I just appreciate Randy Savage calling in. I mean, wow.
Don't be a stranger, Randy. Call us again. Yeah.
I think we may hear from Randy again in the future.
Well, I hope so, because that's an honor to have, boy, Charles Barkley and Macho Man call in. Well, Zach, we do have another question. Maybe this one's a little more serious than some of the other
These are
ones.
serious questions with presented in a very unserious manner, obviously,
A
by
little more fun.
a couple dorks in the middle of November that are just trying to entertain themselves. So,
Oh, well, we do have a friend, Darren. I'm sorry, Darren. I'm gonna butcher your name. Busenitz? I,
that sounds great.
I, I'm hopeful, but
Busenitz?
Busenitz, Darren, if I ever see you on the trail, if I've butchered your name, I'm sorry. You can smack me upside the head and correct me. Darren, he's written it a few times. He is asking, even after all these years, I still don't understand the nuances of how the exact number of 14ers is determined, and I have a hard time explaining it to people when they ask me how many there are. Could you give a little history on how the 53 or 58 were determined and how or why there's been disagreement over the years? That's a big question,
Woo,
Darren.
can of worms right here, my friend.
It really
Let's just
is.
crack that open. Let's let the engineer Eric do this because
Oh
this
gosh.
involves numbers and
It
things.
it
So,
does. And we've talked about it a little bit. I think I've actually involved geometry in it, which maybe was a mistake, but
mm,
so yeah, the 53 and 58, they are distinct classifications of 14ers. So there are officially 53 ranked 14ers. And the way that's determined is there's really two criteria. One is it has to be above 14,000 feet. The second criteria comes in the form of vertical prominence. So vertical prominence is
well, I'm starting to here. You gotta wake me up here. I'm fading, Eric.
sorry,
Didn't know I needed a nap.
you might. Oh, this might be the right time for it.
As you were saying, vertical prominence.
So yeah, vertical prominence, it involves comparing two 14ers that are next to each other or very close to each other and that are connected by a saddle. So the taller of those two 14ers is going to be ranked. It'll be official. Unless you're talking about several 14ers in a group like the decalibron, and then it gets a little more tricky. But for this example, and for most examples, you have two 14ers next to each other. The taller one will be ranked and it'll be official. They'll have a saddle in between them. The shorter 14er, You take the elevation of the summit of that shorter 14er and you compare it to the lowest point of the saddle between the two. So you've got 2 points there. And the vertical distance between those 2 points is the vertical prominence of that shorter 14er. And if that vertical prominence is 300 feet or more, that shorter 14er is also ranked. It's also official. If it's less than that, then it's not deemed to have enough prominence on its own to be officially a ranked 14er. And if you read Jerry Roach in his Colorado 14ers book, he works through this a little bit. He mentions for a summit to be a peak, it must rise at least 300 vertical feet above the highest saddle connecting it to higher ground. If just one criterion is to be used, this is a good one. There is nothing sacred about 300 feet. It is just a round number that seems to make sense in Colorado. Even Jerry Roach doesn't seem to have any sort of special significance attributed to 300 feet. And I can't find any reference online to why that number was picked, who picked it, who made it official. It was just chosen. And so
it's completely arbitrary.
it seems like it is.
You have to have a number.
Yep.
300 weeds out some of the noise of like those that rise
That
150.
have 20 or whatever. Yeah.
It reminds me of that joke, like, remember when there used to be those videos for 8-minute abs? And is it in Something About Mary? There's a guy, he's like, I'm going to do 7-minute abs. And Ben Stiller, I believe, goes, well, why not 6-minute abs? He's like, 6-minute abs? You can't get a workout in 6 minutes. Like at some point, you've got to draw the line.
You have to
right?
draw the line. Exactly.
And 300 feet seems the line that people have collectively agreed that it works. It's a collective fiction that we've all endorsed, and it's fine. What's interesting to me is that ranked and unranked does not say anything about difficulty.
Exactly.
You could have an unranked peak that is really, really, really hard to get to, like Sunlight Spire, that is extremely hard, and it doesn't matter if it's unranked. So that's why you see these different lists. Right now, if you go to 14ers.com, which we did right before this episode, there are 53 numbered peaks listed, but then there's also 5 that have asterisks next to them. And those 5 with the asterisks are unranked peaks. And so those are technically not 14ers, but some of them, like El Diente, darn if that's not a hard peak. Darn if that's not a challenging climb and a worthwhile climb. And in fact, in keeping my own personal list, I count towards my own individual personal number that only I care about. There are certain peaks that are unranked that I count. There are some that are unranked that I don't count because they weren't hard to get to. It's just my own subjective definition. But there's even more confusion if you look at some of the older guidebooks. So Eric got out his Jerry Roach. I have a previous edition of Jerry Roach, and that lists 55 peaks. And because it includes Challenger Point, so my guidebook was published in 1998. And that includes when Challenger Point had been made a 14er. So that's included in the list. Some lists have 53, some have 58 because they include the unranked. Some have 55 because they include some unranked and not some other unranked. Or maybe there was some contention over whether it was ranked or unranked at the time. It's quite confusing. I think we're hard and fast on the 53 that are.
Yeah.
It's what's the status of the other 5?
Exactly. And the other 5, you're right, Zach, they are unranked. They do not have prominence. They happen to have a name according to the U.S. Geological Survey, and that's, according to 14ers.com, that is the main reason why those 5 are often counted by other people. There is another, I don't want to confuse this too much, but if you look at lists of John, and if you look at the checklist on 14ers.com, there is an additional group of 14ers that are unranked, and they have no name. And so the names that they're given are kind of colloquial names that are more related to the parent peak and maybe where the sub peak is compared to the parent, but they're not official names through the GS, and they're still unranked. So I think a lot of people don't count those at all. Then the number becomes much bigger than 58 even. So the 53, to your point, Zach, is the official number. We have 5 more that are unranked but have names, and many of us will count those as well.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, that's where we end the list. That's where the list kind of stops. With LiDAR and other technology, we understand summit elevations and prominences a little bit better now. And so sometimes the numbers will change, or at least which ones are ranked and unranked. Our understanding of that will change. But in general, yeah, 53 and 58, I think is what most 14er enthusiasts will go by.
Which do
So
you go by, Eric? Which is a goal for you, or are there 53 or 58 in your head?
in my head, there's 58. Honestly, boy, I don't want to open this can of worms even deeper than it already is, but I would include others that don't have a name and are unranked. We've talked about mountains like North Massive and South Massive before. They are well above 14,000 feet and they don't have 300 feet of prominence, but they're both above 250. And so to me, those are both really, really close. I don't count them. I haven't summited either one of them. You've summited North Massive, I know, and that's, from
Mhm.
what I understand, that was a worthy hike.
It
That's
it
not one to be
was
ignored.
that's part of why I made the difficulty comment. For me, I did the entire massif in late June, and North Massive was encrusted in snow, and it required class 3 climbing with an ice axe in
Wow.
order to reach the summit. That was a heck of a lot harder for me than the true official summit of Massive. Now, if you look at my list, I've checked them all off, but I can only officially count Massive. But darn if North Massive wasn't a heck of a lot more engaging, frankly committing, than the summit of Massive. So that's part of why I made that comment, is that there are peaks that I've done that, especially if you get into the 13ers world, welcome to the realm of unnamed and unranked.
Oh, yeah.
There are peaks that I've done that are quite difficult that are unnamed and unranked. And they're a lot harder than some of the other 13ers I've done. These are geological and geometric criteria, not necessarily physiological criteria
Right. Yep.
for what constitutes a mountain. So,
Yeah, it's a great point about the difficulty and everything it took to get to the top of North Massive compared to all of the other sub peaks and the Parrot Peak
mm-hmm,
in that area. Yeah, when I hiked Massive many years ago with my friend Anthony, we went through the southwest slopes
mm-hmm.
and we actually topped out at a point that it ended up being above 14,000 feet south of Mount Massive. And for a split second, we thought, oh, are we at the summit? And then we looked to the north and we're like, no, no, that's the summit.
No, there's a long way to go here.
There is a long way to go. But that little point, if you look on topo maps, it probably has, prominence of, I don't know, 20 feet or something. It's
Mm-hmm.
you have to draw the line to where something like that doesn't count. But it doesn't mean that it didn't take a lot of effort to get to that point too.
You
But
can't count every round mound
you
of
can't count.
rebound. Hey, what are you saying?
Now Charles is going to be upset with you, Zach, and maybe I'm off the hook now. Thanks a lot.
Uh, so yeah, that's why you will see different lists in different places. Heck, there are t-shirts that have
Oh
14ers
gosh.
listed on them. Some have 58, some have 54, some have 53.
Yep.
It just depends on how people are counting them, the latest survey data on those things, wherever they're getting their list from. It is a bit confusing. In my head, there's 58 as well.
Okay.
And that's where I kind of aim for, because I want El Diente to be one, because I've tried to
Tried
hike it
several
twice.
times. Yes.
So when I finally do summit that thing, I'm counting it. Dang it. Yeah, so that's essentially, Darren, what's going on with all that. But for the sake of hiking, just do what you love.
Yeah,
But for the sake of list keeping, that's why it is the way it is.
for sure. Related to that, Zach, I have a question for you around North Massive. So you counted it on your 14ers.com checklist,
Yeah, they
correct?
have they're like kind of whited out on
They
there.
are with
And
quotation marks too around it.
yeah, and so I counted it on that. I don't actually count it on my list. So like I keep a spreadsheet, it's not
Hmm.
counted there.
Okay. All right, Darren, I hope we didn't make you take a nap too with that explanation, and I hope we somewhat answered it at least to the best of our ability.
Good stuff.
Well, I don't know, Zach, have we covered all of the questions that have come in, or at least all the ones that we want to answer?
I would say we have. This has been a real ride. We've had a celebrity, a random kid from Idaho, and a dead person call in. So I think I'm good. I don't know what else I've got here. Macho Man, if you can hear us, we love you. We've been reaching out to you. Well, thanks, Eric, for being a good sport and going along with all my shenanigans here today. if people want to leave perhaps a legitimate voicemail or email or question, how can they do so, Eric?
You know what? We would welcome that. The main source would be our webpage, which is greensandbluespodcast.podbean.com. And there you can find a way to leave us a voicemail. You can find our YouTube channel. You can find our Facebook group. And you can find our email address, which is how Darren and others have gotten a hold of us, greensandbluespodcast@gmail.com. All those ways you can get a hold of us. Should I put a link on our website to be able to Blue Sky you directly, Zach? I wonder if there's a way to do that. Because you have a Blue
Oh,
Sky account.
I do. I haven't checked that thing in forever. I'm like every Gen X kid with social media. It's hot and cold. Uh, no, I think the best way to get in touch with us is the Gmail at greensandbluespodcast@gmail.com. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Or
We've
to
had
just
lots of
or to
folks.
just Google me and find the guy that's a professor in Oklahoma and email me that way. I've had a few people do that too, and that's welcome amidst all the student emails wondering when the next exam is. I get something from that truly gives me joy. So maybe do that.
There you go. Nothing against your students. Not
None at
that you
all,
don't.
but there is a syllabus for a reason, kids.
Oh, I love it.
Well, that being said, Eric, thanks so much for playing along, and for those of you that stuck with this episode, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.